A very good evening tena.
Evening tena. Hebu turudie tuanze tena.
Good morning. Welcome to Morning Cafe. Lakini akili imekuwa wapi? Let's just go back and
What happened yesterday evening?
It's National Nurses Day, World Asthma Day, and it's also a day ile unafaa ujishukuru kwa mwili. Is it no diet day?
No diet day.
No.
Unakula ile unataka. Choma tu kila kitu.
Hata kama mwili ni ndogo kama ni kubwa, we ilishe tu, jipende tu hivyo. My name is Anne Odida. This is Morning Cafe.
Yes, and my name is Freddie Ndimulivi, and as we start the show, we'd like to pay special tribute to one of our colleagues, Mamu. It's her birthday today. Kule Digital, she's doing a good job. Happy birthday, Mamu, from Morning Cafe.
All right. Tuanze na magazeti humu nchini. The Standard, burden of advices.
Ni kama wamekuwa wengi. Mzito, mzigo umekuwa mzito. Ruto office gets 2.3 billion shillings Kenyan money for facelift. That's a Daily Nation.
The Star, besieged leader. They ask a question there.
They have an image of Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka on the front page. Musalia atishia mlima. Ameitisha maambia nini? Tutarejelea kuangazia Taifa Leo.
People Daily, riddle of 37 billion shillings stalled state projects.
And you'll realize there's a lot of Nancy Gathungu back on the front pages today because she's released another report for the 2023-2024 year. Billionaire Warren Buffett gives Kenya 3.8 billion shillings after Trump aid cuts. But we angalia hii, you need 3.8 billion shillings, but State House just needs 2.3 billion ya facelift. And akuachia 1.3 billion. It's a Business Daily. State of the Nation today, a lot of discussions about the shoe throwing, what's happening in Wamunyoro. James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North. Joe Mutambo, former MP Mwingi. Dismas Mokua, political risk analyst. And political leader Kathy Irungu will be in studio starting at 6:30 this morning. Do stand by for that.
All right. Tuangalia regional newspapers. We start off with the New Vision, Uganda. Roadworks deserted over 1,000 billion shillings debt.
Yomeandika aje? 1,000 billion. This is 1 trillion then. 1,000 billion shillings.
1,000 billion shillings debt.
Mbona unaandika hivyo lakini?
Ndio jua ni mingi.
Si angesema tu trillion.
Ndio ikai mingi.
Ingekuwa tu 1 trillion. 1 trillion debt, but it's Ugandan money either way. 1,000 billion shillings. That's not how we speak in Kenya.
1,000
That is
billion.
Ugandanese.
Government sets up committee to probe Rajiv's death. Another story there. That story is on page 5. Rajiv alikufa barabarani, a rally driver. Kule budget 574.6 billion shillings earmarked for Kampala roads. Hiyo pia inakaa pesa mingi sana tukiongelelea in Kenyan money. Lakini ni Ugandan money.
This is Ugandan money.
Holiday alert. Heri wao.
Yeah.
Bobi Wine bodyguard remanded. Huyu ni ule wa jana anaitwa Msweti ama huu. Jina yake iko mahali hapa. Mutwe, Edward Mutwe. And on the top strip, Uganda's coffee gains market in China, and that's the New Vision.
All right. Still in Uganda, the Daily Monitor talks about sober heads in Mutwe's arrest. That's Bobi Wine's bodyguard. So the charging and remanding of Bobi Wine's chief civilian bodyguard, Eddie Mutwe, after he was dropped off in Masaka yesterday, came following widespread condemnation of his abduction after General Muhoozi Kainerugaba said they had him. Yes, Kainerugaba, and there's a chief of the military, Museveni's son, said, he's actually in my bunker, he's in my basement, and he will be next Kabubi. That's what he said. So announced, it's the confession from General Muhoozi Kainerugaba and what other leaders have said regarding this kind of abduction, including this lady who's very vocal pale anaitwa Banyima, Winnie Byanyima. Wanasema, unakumbuka siku ile Muhoozi alikuwa amesema wewe usilete baba yangu alikufukuza kwetu.
You are told to
I'm
pack
telling you
and
that
go.
the kind of arguments people have on the front pages in Uganda is totally different.
Yeah, drama.
Kenya hawezi fanya vitu kama hiyo.
Lakini sasa in Uganda you realize mtu huwezi chokoza Museveni.
Anasema tu by the way, he's actually in my basement right now.
Utadu.
Na utakuwa next. Yes. Several fear dead after YY bus from Mbale overturns. That's a story down there. And it's breaking news. They've not provided more details because they don't even say which page you can get the details at. Pale juu.
Is it Uganda's Mbale or Kenya's Mbale?
This is Uganda's Mbale. Yes.
Okay.
Ingekuwa Kenya wangesema. Pale juu, the story about this rally driver who died, and they still pay tribute to him on the front pages. It must have been quite huge in Uganda. Contractor left Busabala site of a non-payment. That's the killer barrier that killed him. Apparently there was construction going on, but the contractor had already moved out. So akaacha vitu kwa barabara, and that's what caused the accident that claimed the life of this gentleman. That's Uganda. Tanzania wanazungumzia nini leo?
The Citizen, Africa's growth strong but debt costs a concern. IMF Deputy Director for Africa, Catherine Partilo, talks about the rising cost of borrowing across Africa and what steps need to be taken to address it. And her exclusive interview with this newspaper also sheds light on the growing role of gold as an alternative reserve asset for central banks. That special interview and features on page 2 of this newspaper. Where 2.28 trillion Tanzanian shillings works funds will be spent, and the government has raised the Works Ministry's 2025-2026 budget by 522 billion shillings, with 2.2 trillion or 96% of the total budget being allocated for development projects, up from 1.7 trillion shillings set aside for the current financial year. That series on page.
We realize now the conversations across the region turn towards the budget-making process. Yes.
Haki Elimu wants education budget raised by 2.3 trillion shillings.
Hiyo wangetupatia hapa Kenya 2.3 trillion, tungeunda universities zingine na tulipe madeni yote.
Ubaya ni Tanzanian money.
But it's Tanzanian money.
On the top strip, government to crack down on foreign traders using Tanzanian IDs. The Citizen.
Tukisalia kule Bongo, gazeti la Mwananchi wanasema uhusiano wa polisi raia wazua hofu. Wananchi waishtumu kwa kukithiri matukio ya utekaji, just like Kenya, watu kushambuliwa huku uchunguzi ukibaki sintofahamu. Wadau wataka hatua za haraka, wataja umuhimu wa polisi kwa usalama wa raia. Yes, the relationship between police and the citizenry has always been something interesting. You see, when you watch movies from the US, vile askari anakuja na we are here to protect you, ma'am. Ai, huku ni wapi? Ukiona askari wewe mwenyewe hata kama ulikuwa unaenda complain unahepa. Vidokezo zaidi, mwarobaini kuporomoka kwa maghorofa watajwa. Najua mwarobaini ni ile mti na kuanga ya dawa.
Yes. Mwarobaini kuporomoka kwa maghorofa watajwa.
Sijaelewa hapo. Kiswahili kizungumkuti.
Ati hadi sasa load cell za kidijitali zimefungwa katika mizani 10 ambayo ni Mpemba hizo wakisema, ama inaitwa load cell.
Hapo naona ni kama tukingangana sana tutapotea zaidi. Kuna ripoti maalum hapa ya maofisa hawa kikwazo kwa waliojifungua kurudi shule. And this is a very big debate in Tanzania, whether young girls who give birth while still in school should be allowed back in class. When President John Pombe Magufuli was president, he actually said no, they should not. Ukipata mtoto wewe enda kuwe mama.
Lakini kwa nini sasa?
Nao mama akaingia akawa rais, sasa wanajaribu kusondeka mani wasema pana. Wasichana wanaweza rudi shule. Lakini Magufuli alikuwa amesema kama umepata mtoto nenda ukale. Pale juu, kinachoendelea kushambuliwa kwa Padri Kitima mwingine adakwa. Wali attack padre. Sasa kwa at least kuna jamaa ameshikwa. Kule wana attack padre. Huku nyinyi mnarushia rais viatu. Mungu asamehe. Tumaliza.
Regional dailies, tuangalie hali ya weather kulinyesha. Hali ya anga.
Yes.
Sawa.
Tuanze pale na zoom.earth. Take a look at the cloud cover situation across Kenya and the region. It's seen quite some cloud cover on the East African coastline. And you can see areas around Mombasa, Kilifi, quite some cloud cover that wasn't there yesterday. A lot of the cloud dots are there around Central Africa, because you can see areas around Gabon, DRC, over the Lake Victoria, which has been persistent, still have a lot of cloud cover. When you come to Kenya, a lot of the cloud cover is actually over the Indian Ocean and the Kenyan coastline, areas around Malindi, Kilifi, and Mombasa. And that's where we start, in Kilifi. 26 degrees feels like 28, definitely cloudy. In agreement with that report, you can see it's just cloud cover throughout the day. Highs of 28 degrees, and in as far as precipitation, 14.2 millimeters. That is definitely considerable rainfall in Kilifi today.
Tuende kule watu ambao wako out of order.
Watu wa Migori kule Kihancha.
17 degrees in Migori. Feels like it's rain likely around 3 p.m. today, partly cloudy through the day. Highs of 24 degrees in Migori, and precipitation here is 15.5 millimeters. Asa kutanyesha, hakuna chance ya kunyesha.
Ipunguze hiyo joto kidogo. Marsabit, 20 degrees Celsius, feels like 23, also cloudy. There's some cloud cover over the areas around Lake Turkana. Highs of 27 degrees Celsius. In as far as precipitation is concerned, not much rainfall in comparison, 2.8 millimeters of rainfall. But at least kuna kidogo tu pale Marsabit.
Nairobi, huku kulinyesha jana, 16 degrees. Feels like it's highs of 24 degrees, and precipitation here today is 9.4 millimeters.
It will definitely rain.
Yes.
Jana tuliwaambia itanyesha, watu wakadoubt, wakasema na hii jua yote hakutanyesha. Then as the day progressed, kasema yenyewe pengine tulidanganyana.
Yeah.
Wacha jioni ifike. Iliteremka kuteremka. Sisi sio waongo. Rain is likely around 4 p.m.
Yes. Prepare.
Tushasema.
Ufike home mapema. Tuangalie traffic sasa. It's around 12 minutes past the top of the hour.
All right, and the major tributaries into town are looking green this morning. Mombasa Road all the way from Imara Daima past Next Gen Capital Center, green all the way to town. Leo naona Ngong Road ni kama kuna kitu pale. Past Prestige, naona a long stretch of yellow beyond that T junction. So what's happening? Imegeuka, imerudi salama sasa. Other areas that I can see problematic, it's very early in the morning to have this red here at Pangani Interchange, but ni kama watu wanakimbia town leo. So strong red pale Pangani. So it's building up from Kiambu Road and Thika Road. Nimerudi mpaka pale Githurai, a long stretch of yellow pale. Unajua pale ukifika Githurai, if you're coming from Kahawa, kuna matatu zinataka kuingia hivi chini, zingine zinataka kupanda. Alafu wote wanasimama barabarani. Ndio hawa hapa. So that's it. Eastern side of Nairobi, nothing much to report about. Outer Ring Road is looking green. Mama Lucy Hospital, build up on a few places around Komarok and Kayole on both sides of the road. Jogoo Road too, not looking bad. Landis Road building up. Landis Road, najua imekuanga green, but now you can see areas around opposite Machakos bus station getting busy. People are traveling before you get to Marikiti area. It's getting busy even in town. That's the traffic situation as at 1:15 the hour this morning.
All right, let's take a look at the quote of the day. Change doesn't always originate from authority. Each of us holds the power to make a difference, and even the smallest acts of courage and kindness can ignite a ripple effect.
Right.
Let's come back and take a look at the local dailies. And we start off with the standard burden of advices, nothing to show. Gobbling over 1 billion shillings annually in salaries and office costs, President Ruto's growing team of 20 advisors is a heavy burden on taxpayers. Despite their impressive CVs, many fail to offer tangible benefits to Kenyans, with their roles overlapping those of cabinet secretaries, leaving the country questioning their usefulness.
The latest to be appointed is Professor Makao Mutua. Yes. And then special advisor hapa anaitwa nani? Jaoko Oburu. Hawa ni wale wa juzi.
Sasa watu wanasema the country is questioning their usefulness.
You know, all this is coming as we prepare for the budget. So that's where people are questioning, okay, are we spending this much on advisors? 1 billion shillings. What exactly is their input? What exactly are they helping the president do? The president already has 22 cabinet secretaries and PSs. Why have all this many advisors? And you can actually see in the inside pages, they have so many, like a full page of advisors for the president. Some known, some the paper did not even find their photos. Yeah.
20. On the top strip, umeniambukiza.
Stop strip.
Top strip. 3 arrested in probe into Migori shoe incident. Okay, let's see. Ulisema jana president alisema.
So alisema president alisema waachilia, kuna kitu itafanyika, waachilia huyo kijana.
Oh, you thought.
Tashanga.
Israel cabinet backs Gaza conquest plan and hooliganism threatens local football. Hiyo mambo ambayo ilifanyika Kisii Stadium.
All right. I don't have the physical copy of the Standard, but I'm so sure ukienda back page ni mambo ya UEFA Champions League. Today is a big night. Arsenal wameenda France kule kwa PSG. I'm telling you, ile mambo itaendelea huko.
Yule mtu wa Man United atakuwa hapa jana.
Kesho. Wow. Yes, itakuwa siku mrefu.
Yes.
Let's hope things will go our way. Yes. Barcelona meanwhile will be in Italy facing Inter Milan after their 3-3 draw. Interesting. All right. We move on to the Daily Nation, and you'll realize that for the first time, issues around the Vatican have come back to the front page in Kenya. That's because the conclave to choose to elect a new pope will begin tomorrow. I've seen some stories here. One on CNN saying that all mobile phone signals will be deactivated in the Vatican on Wednesday, ahead of the highly secretive conclave to elect the next pope. The Vatican also plans to use signal jammers around the Sistine Chapel to prevent electronic surveillance or communication outside the conclave that will see 133 cardinals vote on who will succeed Pope Francis and lead the 1.4 billion Catholics globally. So in Kenya, they say that Cardinal John Jue, I think that's the only cardinal in Kenya currently, says the Vatican has not invited him for the conclave. To elect Pope. But we understand because he's over 80, he will not take part in that process. But the main story on the front page is about Ruto's office getting 2.3 billion shillings for facelift. And people wonder, okay, at this time when we do not have money, deni ni mingi, pesa haitoshi, health matters, wale walitoa pesa zao hapo, Haiti wanataka pesa. Nasi walishatengeneza State House. Na wakatengeneza, anyway. Kenyan taxpayers watarudi, pesa imeisha. Kenyan taxpayers will pay billions of shillings to upgrade President William Ruto's offices in the new budget, whose implementation begins on July 1st this year, making it one of only few state agencies to enjoy increased cash allocations. So a lot more money going towards the office of the president to improve on how it looks, probably new furnishings and furniture as well. Meanwhile, KDF teachers and police get extra 45 billion shillings. Education, military, aviation and police are among the biggest winners in the 4.2 trillion shilling budget for the financial year starting in June. The TSC has the highest increment at 21 billion shillings increment, signaling hiring of additional teachers, which is something positive. That one we have to commend. This story is on page 5, even as conversations now turn more towards the budget-making process. Pesa inaenda wapi? Cabinet resolved to effect further budget cuts, but for the office of the president, yake anapata mingi. 4 detained 30 days in a probe into MP's murder. That's another story there. Pale juu, Gen Z protest deaths, families launch public petition to force arrest of killer security agents. And Ruto's security beefed up after shoe hurling in Migori tour. That story is on page 7. Acha tuona ameweka majeshi wangapi. Security was tightened. Hata hapo unaangalia, the picture there they have on page 7 has the president amekaa na kuna majeshi wengi wameblock crowd. Ili ya kumkaribia sana wamewacha. Because the president, I think, was moving too close to the crowd. Leaders sometimes feel like they need to connect to the crowd, lakini utapigwa kiatu saa ingine and it doesn't look good.
Ni salamu walisema.
It does not look good at all. So at one of the venues yesterday, President avoided a set-up podium and instead chose to address the crowd from his vehicle. He still prefers the vehicle. I think he feels safer there. Experts say security lapse should not be taken lightly, as it could signal ease of getting to the president. Migori woman rep Fatuma Mohamed alisema, let the media not report their own version of events. What happened is that they wanted to greet the president, but they couldn't reach him.
That is my favorite.
Sasa natoa kiatu na kwambia habari yako. Hata huyo angenyamaza tu, hajasaidia kitu. On the back page wanazungumzia nini? Bloated wage bills stifling development in counties. That's the big story on the back page of this paper. That's a nation.
All right. The Star besieged leader, ni swali wanauliza hapo. Will Wipers Kalonzo accept to play second fiddle to Matiang'i, and will Mount Kenya agree to miss both presidency and running mate? On the move, hii ni picha ya former Interior Cabinet Secretary addressed residents of Keroka during his homecoming on Friday last week. Matiang'i, often referred to as Mr. Fix-It in the previous regime, is increasingly viewed as the most formidable threat to Kalonzo's presidential ambitions.
But I'm wondering why this paper decided to try and engineer cracks in that coalition. No one has said that Matiang'i is a front runner. So why is this paper suggesting that Kalonzo is already a victim and that Matiang'i is a front runner, and will he agree to play second fiddle? This is very suggestive and very presumptuous of the Star, but then again, that's what we do as journalists. Tunaangalia mbele.
Ndio maana tunaambiwa tusiseme vitu zetu. There's another story here why President may be forced to revisit deal with Kindiki, and political undercurrents in Mount Kenya is threatened to reshape President William Ruto's power plan for the next election. A determined push by the Kalonzo Musyoka regarding Gachagua axis to stamp out his influence in the region could throw a spanner into the works. At the heart of this storm is Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, whose political future now hangs in the balance. This story is on page 6 of this newspaper.
All right.
That's the Star, fresh, independent, different. Today, the Star is not for sale.
Of course, it comes with a complimentary copy of MyGov for government tenders and job opportunities. Grab yourself a copy of this Star for free today.
Yes.
Gazeti la Taifa Leo pale madividi yuko kwenye ukurasa wa mbele, anasema Musalia atishia mlima. Mkuu wa mawaziri awaambia wakazi wa Ngome ya Gachagua wamshabikie Ruto katika uchaguzi mkuu ujao, la sivyo kiti cha mwaniaji mwenza kitapokonywa Profesa Kindiki. Mudavadi na Governor Gladys Wanga ni miongoni mwa wanasiasa wanaopigiwa upatu kuteuliwa mwaniaji mwenza wa Rais Ruto mwaka 2027. I think I've seen similar headline on the front page of the Star. They talk about why President may be forced to revisit deal with Kindiki. That's what they're suggesting. Mudavadi aonya wakazi wa Mlima Kenya kuwa wasipomuunga Ruto, unaibu rais utaenda kwa mtu wa eneo lingine. I think it's more or less a done deal. Yeah. Anyway. Vidokezo zaidi hapa, viongozi wa magharibi wakashifiwa, Spika Wetangula na Mudavadi walaumiwa kwa kutuunganisha jamii kwa ajili ya maendeleo. Inaitwa elusive Luya unity for a reason. Aliyempiga Ruto kiatu akamatwa. Rais alisema asikamatwe, lakini akamatwa. Polisi wasema Paul Mutongori, sasa tunajua hata jina. Paul Mutongori alinaswa kwenye video akimtupia rais kiatu akihutubu Kehancha.
Oh, wow.
Risasi 3 zilikwama ndani ya mbunge. Upasuaji wa baini mbunge Ongondo ule wa Kasipul alipigwa risasi 5, 3 zilikwama ndani yake. Pale juu wa pwani waunga mkono CDF na UEFA ni kufa kupona sasa. Barcelona wana kazi ngumu wanapozuru Inter leo, na Arsenal nao ni roho mkononi jijini Paris.
Back to this story Ongondo. Do you know investigations zimekuwa so thorough. 4 have already been identified. Hadi evidence iko kwa karatasi.
Peleko kotini tusikie. Peleko kotini tusikie.
People Daily, riddle of 37 billion shillings stalled state projects. Auditor General Nancy Gathungu reveals that Kenyans didn't get value for money on abandoned schemes. Wacha tujaribu kufungua tuone stalled and delayed projects ni zipi, lakini ziko hapa on the front page. But if you want to read more, you can get it on page 4 of this newspaper. Other stories here, no title deeds for Harambee and Nyayo houses. Title deed hapo imeenda wapi?
The story is that they're actually owned by private individuals. Government is renting them out. Hapo ndio office of the president iko. Sheria house iko hapo. Mimi kama ni landlord, I just show up and say, hey, by the way, I want back my building. Title deed ya office of the president, sio serikali iko nayo.
On the top strip, Ruto slams opposition in Migori tour. Opposition walienda wakapiga picha na what are they called, the sticks. Wamekuwa slammed hapo jana. And fastest tortoise faces threat in Kenya. Page 15, and that's People Daily.
Tumalizie na biashara. Anasema billionaire Warren Buffett gives Kenya 3.8 billion shillings after Trump aid cuts. Warren Buffett, the world's most famous investor, has eased the pains at Kenya's cash-starved public health department. Nilijua tu itaenda health. After offering a grant of 3.8 billion shillings for the national budget amid cuts in foreign donations by US President Donald Trump. Yeah, so mtu mmoja tu anatosha kuja kufix health sector yenyu yote. Grant is equivalent to 18.1% of medical services project budget, and first-time investor is funding government directly. So tuseme asante. Cha tuone kama pesa zitaingia kwanza. Toll charges for Nairobi-Mombasa Expressway revealed. Motorists plying the proposed 440-kilometer Nairobi-Mombasa Expressway will pay between 12 and 13 shillings per kilometer, making it cheaper than the shorter toll road in the capital that levies an estimated 18 shillings for a similar distance. So nalipa between 13 shillings for 440 kilometers. Wait, a few thousands. Interesting. On the ticker, power deals freeze to be lifted by end of June, and Consolidated Access Bank face toughest capital compliance test. That is Business Daily this morning.
Sawa.
Once again, these are the individuals who will be in studio for State of the Nation this morning. James Gakuya, MP, Embakasi North. John Mutambu, former MP Mwingi. Dismas Mokua, political risk analyst, and Kathy Irongo, a political leader. Do stand by for that. Coming your way in about 2 or 3 minutes. Tuangazie Karakacha.
Hi, The Standard. Shukran sana watu wa Kihancha. Shukran.
Shu ya kiatu.
President Ruto Karikacha there akiambia watu wa Kihancha.
Lakini amekanyaga kama soul ile imprint ya kiatu kikubwa sana.
Unaona venye amekasirika.
Hajafurahia. Shukran. Halafu najua amemwekea nundu hapa. Kama huko. Hiyo si mimi. Huyu cartoonist by the way anakuja sana. People Daily, still the same debate about the shoe. A caricature of the president, typical fashion, akiwa pale juu ya gari, lakini kuna kiatu imekuja imemgonga twaf, akasema only the wearer of the shoe knows where it pinches most. So inakaa hii debate ya kiatu kule Migori itaendelea. Yeah.
Lazima itaendelea.
Two cartoonists have seen it fit to focus on that. That's the People Daily. Finally on the Daily Nation.
Go away, you are retired. Na nani anaambiwa hapa? Former president is caricatured here because leaders wamekuwa wakimwambia awachane na maneno ya incitement and incite the Gen Zs.
Na ambayo you are retired.
Haya basi, later on we'll be speaking to George Oyuga, Director Retirement Solutions, Kuza Asset Management Limited, on preparing for retirement. When do you need to start preparing? Financially and mentally as well. Yes. Meanwhile, interact with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and YouTube, on X at TV47 News KE. My handle is at Ann_Dida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe.
My handle is at Fred Indemuli. See you after the break.